I'm going to do my best to explain the law that we believe supports the claims we make that you can contract yourself out of your citizenship here, that you can contract yourself back into slavery. And we're going to try to use, we are going to use the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment to do so. We're also going to use SF 181, which is the form we use to show you the definition of each of the races. We say that the Social Security SS5 form is the form that creates your race. We know that because this is the first form that you ever check what race you are. And this is not done by you. This is done by your parent, probably your mom, in most cases. This is where your race begins. Now, let's look at the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. Now, at first glance, this looks like a very straight up and down amendment. But with looking at it a little bit more, it didn't totally abolish slavery and involuntary servitude. They said that there is a condition that these two things are legal, and that is if it's a punishment for a crime. Now, I thought that the last piece was very interesting because it does not say except as punishment for committing a crime. It says punishment for a crime. And so a crime could mean a crime against you, not even one that you committed. There is a lot of room left open when one says punishment for a crime, because that does not mean that you have to be the offender. And so now when we look at this, we see that there's much more to the 13th Amendment. It is not abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude totally. It is leaving a condition, and the condition revolves around punishment for a crime, not for committing a crime, but a crime. So it could be for committing a crime or a crime against you. Now let's go to the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized in this United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. This is very clearly saying that if you are born here, you are a citizen at birth. When you call yourself black, it does not include you in this law. So it doesn't say if you call yourself black, you are a citizen. It doesn't say African Americans are citizens. It says the people who are born here are citizens. And if you are black, it is, or white, or whatever your race is, it is through contract. This contract shows the meaning of the racial categories. It tells you the meaning of what you're contracting as. If I tell someone that I am black, I am telling them that I can't be a citizen of the United States of America because I am not an original person. I am not a human. Contract is information. I am informing the people who I am contracting with. And since these are government forms, I am telling them that I am not the original people. I can't be a citizen. I am a non-citizen resident. Maybe I'm a free black, but I'm definitely not a citizen of the country. And this is the 15th Amendment. This says, United States Constitution prohibits the federal government and states governments from denying a citizen the right to vote. Now it says a citizen. And so in order to maintain your citizen, you cannot contract as a black because black isn't covered in citizenship. It's not covered. Once you have affirmed that you are a citizen, then race, color start to matter. Once you become a citizen, then they saying it don't matter what race you are. You can't deny a citizen the right to vote based on race, color. A citizen, not once you become a citizen. And the key, I thought, in the 15th Amendment says, or previous condition of servitude. Meaning we understand that there were some people who come from the descendant of the slave that we used to call black. That was a former condition of servitude. But if you change your race to the one that grants citizenship, then your previous condition doesn't matter anymore. And so, even though we understand that there's more to this 13th Amendment, I was still stuck when it came to what was the crime. Even though we start to understand that slavery and involuntary servitude isn't dead, there are conditions that can create them. What was the crime created against blacks or people who call themselves blacks to put them back into servitude, back into slavery? And we believe the answer to that is in the birth certificate. On my birth certificate, my mom's name is on there twice. One as the mother, but also line 9A asks for the informant. I don't know what the purpose of the informant was, but I did want to look up informant. Informant is a person who provides privileged information about a person or organization to an agency. My mom is the informant on the birth certificate, and she is the one who filled out my Social Security card. She chose my race. The term is usually used within the law enforcement world where they are officially known as confidential or criminal informants. So now when we're getting closer to crime, where's the crime? Could the crime be that my mom, being the informant, gave the agency information that I was not a citizen, that I was a black, and that I didn't have citizenship here? And can often refer pejoratively to the supply of information without the consent of the other parties. My mom didn't get my consent. And so the more and more you understand the parent's position in creating your non-citizenship when they select black for you, the crime was you were born a citizen until your parents chose your race. The informant snitched on you and told that you were not a human. You were a black, not an original person. And so you're not a citizen. And that was the crime. Because it doesn't have to be you committing the crime. It says for a crime, sometimes against you. And your punishment has been back to servitude, back to slavery. And the 15th Amendment lets you know that you can come out of it. It doesn't matter what your previous condition of servitude was. You can be a citizen again. And so your right to vote, I challenge people who call themselves black. How do you get the right to vote? You got to be a citizen. And black is not a citizen. It's not a position of citizenship. It is not covered in the 14th Amendment. Nowhere does it say black or African American is a citizen of America. And so that is the law portion.